one of the most influential titles in gaming history and quite easily one of the greatest games of all time. With a simple concept, this game delivers one of the most immersive video game experiences and an emotional ride which will never be forgotten. This is Shadow of the Colossus. Now, with Blue Point Games' pretty much perfect remake of the title for the PlayStation 4, I thought it was time we delve back into the experience. So here today on GavinchiTV, we're going to count down those top 8 Colossi. Remember, there are spoilers ahead, and as always, let's get to it. Our 8th entry is found in the ruins of a large city in Quadrant C2 of the Forbidden Lands. This is Shinobi. Now, Shinobi isn't the biggest Colossus by any means, but he's got a temper, he's quick, and he's extremely aggressive. Ah! That was my aggression right there. The key move here is to get to higher ground as soon as possible and use Shinobi's aggression to your advantage to make him take out the pillars. This would now allow access to previously unreachable areas in which we'd continue using Shinobi's aggression. This would lead to one final area where Shinobi's aggression would get the better of him. The surroundings would fall, breaking his armor and revealing a weak point. In this final segment, you continue luring Shinobi to a vulnerable state where you could jump upon his back to deliver some blows to finally finish off the Colossi for good. Overall, Shinobi was an interesting Colossi. He showed you that size wasn't everything, and he had to use his temper to your advantage to progress further through the environment. You couldn't just rush in head on and attack, or that would be your downfall. You had to think about it and be strategic in order to beat this Colossi. So overall, Shinobi earns the number 8 spot. Our 7th entry swims in a murky lake in Quadrant D1 and resembles a catfish / electric eel. This is Argos. Argos set itself apart from other Colossi as it was actually a battle on the waterbed, and it was done right. Normally in games, anything involving a water scenario is horrible. You know, Legend of Zelda, the Water Temple, or that dreaded noise. When you arrive, Argos is deep underwater, so you have to swim upon the waterbed in order to entice him so he comes up and you can quickly grab hold of him. You can't attack him when he's submerged, so make sure your stamina's high while he takes you for an awesome ride. When he reaches the surface, now it's time to attack. You have to be quick as you have limited time before he submerges again. Watch out for the electrical attacks that he's sending towards you and attack behind the base of each spike and eventually the head to finally finish off the Colossi. Overall, Argos was a battle on the water which was done right. You had to be patient and time correctly, watch out for attacks as they would do serious damage, and the atmosphere provided for the Colossi was fantastic. So overall, Argos earns the number 7 spot. Our 6th entry is in a gigantic cave in Quadrant B4 of the Forbidden Lands and moves through the loose sand. This is Dirge. Now, Dirge is the land equivalent to Argos. Now, instead of enticing it out of the water to get its attention, we have to literally let the massive thing chase us. Whilst riding your trusty steed Aggro, you'd soon get Dirge's attention and he comes right up behind you chasing you. And the only way to stop him is by shooting him in the eyes, blinding him with the bow and arrow. So you have to control Aggro and shoot Dirge at the same time. Now, with Dirge hurt and blinded, he loses all sense of direction, crashing into the wall, becoming vulnerable. Now this is the time to attack. Now Dirge has 2 weak points. Be as quick as you can to take them out, odds are he'll dislodge himself before you're able to get both of them, but repeat the process, destroying these weak points to finish off Dirge for good. Overall, with Dirge moving through the sands being entirely different to every other Colossi in the game, the use of your bow and arrow in order to defeat him and your trusty steed overall provided a great challenge, so Dirge earns the number 6 spot. Our 5th entry resides in the fortress in quadrant G1 of the Forbidden Lands. He is indeed a cleaver wielding giant. This is Argos. To have any chance of beating this Colossi, we need to be up high, so you have to lure Argos over so he stamps on the platform so you can scale the fortress. Once you reach the top of the fortress and have the advantage, you still have to be careful. Argos is well aware of your presence and will do anything to take you down. Now you have to time it correctly, but a well placed jump can land you upon Argos's head and take out the weak point, though Argos doesn't make this easy as he shakes all over the place, as well as a second weak point behind his right arm, where you can indeed make him drop his cleaver. Argos's third and final weak point is on his right hand. I was running around like a muppet for ages. It was the last place I expected it to be. And boy, it's hard to get there, and he really doesn't want you there either. He shakes like hell to get you off, but you keep going to finally take the Colossi down. Overall, I really enjoyed Argos. The fact that he's constantly aware of your presence at all times and does what he can to stop you, working out his weak points, especially the right hand, and the effort he makes to get you off. Overall, Argos earns the number 5 spot. Our 4th entry is found in the Foggy Lake in quadrant H4, resembling a bird of prey. This is Avion. Now, unlike other Colossi in the game, Avion won't actually do anything to you unless provoked. Now, as gamers, it's in our nature to provoke the Colossi, because we wouldn't be gamers otherwise now, would we? Now, if Avion mysteriously ticked off, he dive bombs at you. Make sure you're ready to grab on for one hell of a ride. Now, Avion has 3 weak points, 1 on his tail and 1 on each wing, but it's not as easy as what you might think. The whole time he's trying to shake you off, and this really drains your stamina, so you have to plan correctly for when you're going to attack or when you're going to recuperate stamina. Overall, I found Avion to be a true jaw-dropping experience. It all happened in the sky, everything was moving around you, it was almost as if you were playing a movie screen and was a pure adrenaline pumping experience. Overall, Avion earns the number 4 spot. Our 3rd entry lies beyond an area that is inaccessible until the previous 15 Colossi are defeated in the Forbidden Lands in quadrant F8. This is Malice. Malice isn't able to move, but what he lacks in mobility, he certainly makes up for in firepower. You have to make it all the way to the other side of the mesa just to reach him, proving a challenge itself, dodging every attack and hiding wherever you can. If you've done this correctly, you eventually come up beneath his feet. Now it's a monumental scale just to reach the top. And I really mean that, it's a monumental scale. The last thing you want is to be falling down. When you eventually reach Malice's body, he has a weak point on his back, and when attacked, Malice will instantly bring back his left arm to grab you. This is where you jump onto his hand and begin holding on for dear life. This then reveals another weak point on his upper left arm, but next we have to reach Malice's head, so this is where it gets clever. He'll bring his right hand along to grab you, so when he does, jump aboard, hold on for dear life and stab him. This will prevent him moving his hand. At this point, a weakness can be seen on his left shoulder, so if you shoot it with the bow and arrow, he'll put his hand over to try and stop the pain, and this grants you access to the head. From here, it's just continuous blows to the head to finish off the Colossi for good, though make sure you're extremely careful with your stamina, as Malice shakes like hell. Overall, with Malice being the tallest Colossi in the game, the task of reaching him, the methods you needed to achieve to climb him, along with the dark and gloomy atmosphere feeling of dread it was tipping down the whole time, makes Malice a worthy Colossi and earns the number 3 spot. Our second entry is in an arena in the middle of a giant lake in quadrant E2. He resembles a knight. This is Gaius. Gaius has a massive sword in place of a right hand, and the trick is to run up the sword and jump upon the Colossi. Though there is an issue, Gaius has a barrier of stone around his wrist, making the scale of the Colossi more difficult. There is a plate in the centre of the arena which you need to get Gaius to hit in order to shatter the barrier. Though if you time this just right, this can be avoided entirely and you can actually jump across to Gaius's waist. From here, it's a case of taking out the weak point on Gaius's midsection, scaling the Colossi to reach his head. Now obviously Gaius doesn't want you up there, so he doesn't make it easy, but it's a case of continuing through, delivering those final blows to finish off Gaius for good. For me, Gaius was my favourite giant Colossi. The fact that he would swing and attack you with his sword, you could break the plate to destroy the barrier or try and get around it. The view from atop of Gaius was fantastic, and was the first Colossi up to this point of the game which really got my heart pounding, so overall Gaius earns the number 2 spot. Our number 1 entry is located in quadrant E6 in the middle of a large desert, the most innocent and docile Colossi of all. This is Phalanx. Now Malice may be the tallest Colossi of them all, but in sheer scale and size, Phalanx obliterates it. He is absolutely massive. Now, not only that, Shadow the Colossus is an emotional story, and it was this boss battle which really started to make me think that I was doing something wrong, and you're about to see why. Phalanx is just casually flying around, but obviously we need to defeat the Colossi, so you have to shoot the gas bladder airbags whilst upon aggro to lower it down. This can be a challenge in itself, but once you've achieved this, Phalanx will come down, lower his wings, and you can ride alongside it to jump aboard. It's a really awesome moment. Once you've made it onto Phalanx, there are 3 raised ridges with sigils underneath. You need to defeat these to bring the Colossi down. Naturally, Phalanx isn't going to make this easy, as we are indeed trying to kill him, so he's going to twist, turn, do a barrel roll, do whatever he can to get you off. And if you take too much time, he will dive back into the sand, so it's simply a case of getting upon aggro once more and repeating the process. 13 Colossis down the line we came to Phalanx, and he really made you feel like you were doing something wrong. He didn't try to hurt you in any form, he merely tries to defend himself. But overall, Phalanx himself was a fantastic boss, and personally, one of the best boss experiences I've ever been in. That's from everything, from his sheer size, the huge open area you're battling in, the use of your horse, the fantastic view and set pieces of Phalanx trying to shake you off, and most importantly, an emotional story was felt through the use of gameplay. So overall, Phalanx is our number 1 Colossi. Let me know what you think below in the comments, and let me know what your top Colossi are, and I really hope I've done this title proud. Again, if you enjoyed, please remember to like, share, subscribe and comment below. If you have time, the subscribe button's just there. I think I'm pointing that out right now. And if you have chance, check out some of my other videos. Some may come to your liking, some may not, but you don't know until you give it a try. Again, thank you very much, I can't thank you enough. Gavinchi out, and I'll see you next time.